You are tired, not the kind of tiredness that goes away after a good night of sleep, the kind of tiredness that sits behind your eyes and follows you through the day, no matter how much coffee you drink or how many hours you spend in bed. You are irritable for no reason you can name. Your energy crashes in the middle of the afternoon. You crave sugar at 10 in the morning and again at 3. And every time you step on the scale, something that should be moving is completely stuck. You have probably blamed your diet, you have probably blamed your schedule, you have probably blamed your willpower. But what if none of those things are the real problem? What if the real reason your body is struggling has nothing to do with what you're eating and everything to do with something that happened to you before breakfast this morning? The answer involves one of the oldest survival systems in the human body. It was designed to save your life. And in the modern world, it is quietly destroying your metabolic health one stressful moment at a time. This is not a story about stress management. This is a story about biology. And by the time it is over, you will never look at a stressful day the same way again. Your body does not know the difference between a deadline and a lion. Aegean. Your body does not know the difference between a deadline and a lion, because everything that follows depends on understanding exactly what that means. When your ancient ancestors encountered a physical threat, a predator, a rival, a sudden environmental danger, their bodies launched an immediate and precise biological response. Researcher Walter Cannon at Harvard University first described this in the early 20th century and named it the fight or flight response. In the space of seconds, the brain signals the adrenal glands to release two powerful hormones, adrenaline and cortisol. These hormones flood the bloodstream, and the body transforms almost instantly. Your heart rate increases. Blood is redirected away from your digestive system and toward your muscles. Your pupils dilate. Your breathing quickens. And most critically for what we are about to discuss, your liver begins releasing stored glucose into your bloodstream. Why glucose? Because your muscles need fuel to fight or flee. Your body is making a calculated decision. It is saying the threat is immediate, movement is required, and energy must be available right now. So it dumps sugar into your blood to power the response. This system is extraordinary. It has kept human beings alive for hundreds of thousands of years. When the threat was physical, when you actually ran from the predator or fought back, you burned through that glucose. Your muscles used it. Your blood sugar came back down. Your cortisol levels dropped. Your body returned to balance. The problem is that the threats you face today are almost never physical. Your body cannot tell the difference between the stress of being chased and the stress of reading a difficult email. It cannot distinguish between the cortisol spike of genuine danger and the cortisol spike of being stuck in traffic, having an argument with someone you love, worrying about money, or sitting through a meeting that should have been an email. To your adrenal glands, stress is stress. The biological response is identical. So what happens? Your manager sends you a sharp message at 8 in the morning. Your body releases cortisol, your liver dumps glucose into your bloodstream, your blood sugar rises, but you are sitting at a desk. You do not run, you do not fight, you do not burn the glucose. You just sit there reading the message and your blood sugar quietly spikes with nowhere to go. This happens again when you hit traffic on the way to an appointment. Again when you get a bill you were not expecting. Again when a family conversation goes sideways. Again when you check your phone before bed and see something that makes your jaw tighten. By the time you fall asleep, your body has spiked your blood sugar multiple times today, not because of anything you ate, but because of everything you felt. Researcher Bruce McEwen at Rockefeller University spent decades studying what happens to the body under chronic stress and introduced a concept he called allostatic load. The cumulative biological cost of repeated stress activation. What McEwen found was that when the stress response fires repeatedly without resolution, without the physical release it was designed for, the body begins to pay a price that compounds over time. And the most significant part of that price is paid by your metabolic system. Here is what that looks like inside your body over weeks, months, and years of unresolved stress. Every time cortisol spikes, your blood sugar rises. Every time your blood sugar rises without physical exertion to use it, your pancreas releases insulin to manage the excess glucose. Insulin is trying to do its job to move sugar out of your bloodstream and into your cells where it can be stored or used for energy. But when this cycle repeats day after day, spike, release, spike, release, something shifts. Your cells begin to lose sensitivity to insulin signal. Think of it this way. Imagine someone knocking on your door every hour, every day without stopping. At first you answer, then you start answering more slowly. Eventually you stop answering at all, not because you cannot hear the knock, but because the signal has become so constant and so overwhelming that your body has simply tuned it out. That is insulin resistance, and chronic stress is one of its most underappreciated drivers. Endocrinologist Robert Lustig at the University of California, San Francisco has written and spoken extensively about the relationship between cortisol, insulin, and metabolic dysfunction. His research highlights something that most people never hear in a standard doctor's appointment, that the stress-blood sugar connection is not a side effect of poor lifestyle choices. It is a primary metabolic pathway. It is a direct biological mechanism. And for millions of people, it is the missing piece of their health story. So what does this mean for you practically? It means that the person who eats carefully, exercises regularly, and still cannot move their fasting blood sugar may be carrying a chronic stress load that is continuously undermining their metabolic efforts. It means that the afternoon energy crash you have been blaming on your lunch may actually be a cortisol drop that follows a stress spike from earlier in the day. It means that the cravings you feel for sugar and refined carbohydrates are not a failure of willpower. They are your body responding to dysregulated blood sugar caused in part by a stress response that never fully resolved. This is not your fault, but it is your biology, and understanding it is the first step toward changing it. There is something else worth understanding about cortisol and the modern world. Cortisol follows a natural daily rhythm. It is highest in the morning and designed to help you wake up and engage with the day, and it gradually declines through the afternoon and evening to allow for rest and recovery. But when chronic stress is present, this rhythm becomes disrupted. Cortisol levels that should be dropping in the evening stay elevated. Sleep becomes fragmented or shallow. And poor sleep, as sleep researcher Matthew Walker has documented extensively, itself drives a cortisol's dysregulation the following day. The cycle becomes self-reinforcing. Stress disrupts sleep. Poor sleep elevates cortisol. Elevated cortisol spikes blood sugar. Dysregulated blood sugar disrupts sleep. And the whole cycle continues quietly, invisibly, while you wonder why you cannot seem to get better, no matter what you try. What breaks the cycle is not more discipline. It is not a stricter diet. It is not working harder at the gym. What breaks the cycle is understanding the root mechanism, which you now do, and beginning to address the stress response itself as a direct metabolic intervention. Movement after a stressful event is not optional for your body. It is a biological completion. When you take a walk after a difficult conversation, when you do 10 minutes of movement after a hard meeting, you are doing exactly what your ancient biology designed you to do. You are using the glucose your body releases. You are completing the stress cycle. You are telling your nervous system that the threat is resolved. Breathing practices, specifically slow exhale, extended breathing, directly activate the parasympathetic nervous system, the counterpart to fight or flight, and begin lowering cortisol within minutes. This is not a wellness trend. It is a documented physiological response that any clinician can point to in the literature. Sleep is not a luxury. For your metabolic system, it is a repair window. Every hour of quality sleep is an hour your cortisol rhythm is resetting, your insulin sensitivity is recovering, and your blood sugar regulation is being restored. And perhaps most importantly, the way you interpret stress matters biologically. Research in the field of psychoneuroimmunology has shown that perceived controllability of a stressor significantly impacts the cortisol response it produces. When you understand what is happening in your body, when you have a framework for why you feel the way you feel, the physiological response itself begins to moderate. You are already doing that right now by understanding that your body is not broken, that your symptoms are not random, that your fatigue and your cravings and your stuck metabolism are not failures. You are beginning to shift the very system that has been working against you. Your body launched a survival response this morning. It was designed for a world that required you to run. You did not run. The glucose went somewhere it was not supposed to go. Your insulin showed up to clean it up. And somewhere in your cells, a signal got a little harder to hear. That is not a moral failure. That is a biology lesson. And now that you have heard it, the next chapter of your health story can begin differently. You're tired, but now you know why. And knowing why is where everything changes. In the next video, we are going to go one level deeper because stress is only part of the story. There is one hormone that sits at the center of everything. Your energy, your weight, your cravings, and your metabolic health. Most people have heard its name. Almost no one has heard the full story. That video is next. If someone you know is exhausted, struggling with their health, and cannot figure out why, share this video with them. Sometimes the most powerful thing you can do for someone you care about is hand them the right information at the right time. This might be that moment